Cindy Weiniger and Darrell Zuby met a few years back, making Christmas wreaths.
That's why this is such a passion.
We met them at Cindy's home in Pine Grove because the two women share more than a love for crafting. Cindy and Darrell are widows. Their husbands, Vietnam veterans who lost their lives decades after their service because during the war they were exposed to a chemical called Agent Orange.
My husband here, he was a very tall man. He was very stoic. He was very unshakable. And when he passed away, he was very frail. And it was so hard to see what the exposure to Agent Orange did to my husband over the years.
Cindy's husband, John, died of cancer in 2020. Darrell's husband, Bill, died just this past September after a long battle with Parkinson's disease. Their wives were their caretakers as their health deteriorated over the course of decades.
John's illness started slowly. First he came up with the diabetes, and then it was the neuropathy, and then it was the blood pressure, and then it was the post-traumatic stress disorder.
Bill Zuby's story was similar.
And at the end, he was just a shell.
And can be retold by an untold number of Vietnam veterans around the country. Agent Orange was sprayed by American GIs to kill vegetation in Vietnam, a strategy touted by the military to beat the Viet Cong. Over the years, the U.S. government has recognized the damage Agent Orange caused to the Vietnamese and our own veterans. Most recently in 2022, when the PACT Act was passed, it provides expanded benefits to veterans exposed to harmful chemicals during their service. Though a federal bill, those benefits are distributed at the state level. Brian Natale is the chief of Veterans Service and Programs at Fort Indiantown Gap. He takes a call from a Vietnam veteran almost every day.
The PACT Act created lots of questions or uncertainty. What am I eligible for? What changed? So getting a phone call is the starting point. That's really what we're hoping for, is somebody reaches out and then we can give them the right information and help them get a benefit.
Still, Natale says the PACT Act has been underutilized here in the Commonwealth. Vietnam-era veterans especially are hesitant to ask for help.
Probably the number one thing that helps them come to us is taking care of their wives.
Because I know what she went through and she knows what I went through.
Darrell and Cindy say that's what eventually convinced their husbands to seek help from the VA, and they have no complaints about the care their husbands received. But
we would have gladly given every bit of it back.
Absolutely.
If they could have made our husbands whole.
You won't find Bill Zuby or John Weiniger on the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C. That memorial is reserved for service members who died during the war. There are an untallied number of veterans who died from their service years later.
I was to the wall, and my husband did not get to see it, but I saw it, and you can't describe the feeling. There's 58,000 plus names there. But what about all these other men and women that it has taken decades, and that they suffered? I mean, my husband gave up, and I gave up the last 25 years of our lives.
Darrell has spent the time since her husband's passing lobbying elected officials in Washington, seeking recognition for the veterans like Bill and John, a memorial all their own.
It would have to be something round, something circular in some fashion, because I said, if you talk to any caregiver, this is what your life felt like. You just went around and around and around and around.
When that cycle ended and their worlds went on spinning without their husbands, Darrell and Cindy are now turning their energy to honoring their sacrifice.
And I feel, and I know Cindy does as well, had it not been for Agent Orange, we may still have our husbands. But we don't. And I feel They deserve the same respect as every name on that wall.
Stacy Lang, Newswatch 16, Schuylkill County.